Roman Reigns is now Jey Uso's Wiseman, the best and worst of WWE Raw. Why Santos Escobar turned down WWE's offer. The Rock takes a huge pay cut for the Smashing Machine to support co-stars. John Cena's final opponent leaked. Great news for Brock Lesnar. WWE removes Dean Ambrose from history. Paul Heyman called out for lying. Roman Reigns sends a chilling message to Jimmy Uso. Let's dive right in. The best and worst of WWE Raw. Last night, WWE kept its hot streak going with a stellar Monday Night Raw from the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. Two back-to-back backstage moments stole the show, but the ring action and storytelling delivered big too. There's not much to gripe about after this episode and plenty to cheer for. With that, let's break down the best and worst of last night's Raw. No fluff here, the show was just that solid. Number 1. Best. Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman's drama deepens. In a tense backstage moment last night, Seth Rollins pressed his oracle, Paul Heyman, for some straight talk about his future. Rollins was fired up, saying he has to beat Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel, sounding even more desperate than when he faced Roman Reigns and Rhodes before. That's how much this means to the architect and his Vision crew. But he asked the big question we all wrestle with sometimes. What if he loses? Heyman didn't hold back, saying a loss would leave Rollins stuck as a second-rate champ, and it could shake how Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed view him. Rollins got mad but faced the truth head-on. The World Heavyweight Champion pushed further, asking how a loss to Cody might shift Heyman's loyalty. When Rollins called him out for dodging, Heyman admitted he might rethink why he picked Rollins over Reigns. That opened up all kinds of future twists, even making a Rhodes 4-0 sweep over Rollins at Crown Jewel feel possible. The shift from the segment's start, where Becky Lynch was ranting wildly while Rollins sat quietly, lost in bigger thoughts, was a perfect way to show wrestling's real stakes. It's not fake, and Becky's fire keeps proving it. Number 2. Worst. Raw's week kickoff. Last night's Raw started like it always does, with a recap from an earlier show setting up the opening. At least we skipped wrestlers strolling into the arena with bags, coffee, and phones, acting like cameras aren't there. Things leveled up with Roman Reigns strutting to the ring like a king, the crowd roaring for him. The issue? What came next? Before Reigns could say or do anything big beyond his "acknowledge me" line and soaking in the vibe, which is always a sight, Bronson Reed cut him off. Paul Heyman took over talking, but it wasn't as fun as you'd hope. The segment felt flat and predictable, hinting at a fight that never happened. The show got hot from there, and Bloodline business picked up, but the start wasn't the strongest spark for Raw. It dulled compared to what came later, whether tied to Heyman or Reigns. Number 3. Best. Bloodline saga. Heats up backstage. Back in its prime, the Bloodline hooked fans as much backstage as in their long ring promos. Maybe more. With quick, frequent scenes, they kept the story tight and fans glued. Guess what? It's back. The first of 2 segments had Jey Uso promising to back Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel, while Jimmy said, "we." Reigns told Jey to focus on new doors opening for him, and to wonder why CM Punk got solo promo time that night, not Jey. As Jey left, Roman asked Jimmy what issues he had with Reigns guiding Jey. Then came an in-ring moment where LA Knight crashed CM Punk's promo, only for Jey Uso to jump in. Knight and Punk talked down to Jey, telling him to stick to tag teams. Knight even jabbed that it might be a lost cause with Jimmy. Punk added that everyone loves Jey, but no one likes little Roman. Things got heated, leading to a tag team main event later. The second backstage bit, right after the Heyman-Rollins talk, showed Jey Uso asking why Jimmy stepped in during his face-off with Punk and Knight, and why he booked them a tag match. Jey questioned Jimmy's loyalty and walked out before Jimmy could answer Roman's earlier question. Jimmy told Reigns that the Usos aren't like him, and the OTC's meddling was messing with Jey's head. Reigns fired back, saying when Jey Uso became World Heavyweight Champion, he got closer to being like Roman than Jimmy. That line hits hard. It could mean a few things. What's clear is, the Bloodline saga is back in full swing. With LA Knight pinning Jey Uso in the main event after a GTS from Punk, family tension's about to boil over. Number 4. Best. Raw's matches tell gripping stories. Every match on Raw had a point and delivered last night. The main event wasn't the flashiest, but it didn't need to be. It did its job. Meanwhile, Lyra Valkyria versus Roxanne Perez pushed Bayley's story and her dynamic with Lyra forward. Becky Lynch gave Maxine Dupree her best match yet, getting the crowd behind her like never before. After several close calls, it ended in a countout when referee Jessica Carr fast counted Lynch to get even for her attitude. Kairi Sane versus Sky moved Sane's storyline with the wild Asuka along. Sane beat Sky after Asuka jumped in, and she joined the post-match beatdown. With Rhea Ripley in Australia, no one could save Sky on Raw. The show also had a fast-paced 6-man tag match with Dragon Styles and Penta facing the Judgment Day. A backstage segment set it up, quietly stirring trouble within the faction. The match ended with a wild finish. Rusev chased Dominic Mysterio, Penta accidentally took out Rusev, Dom slipped away, and Styles sealed it with a Styles clash on JD McDonough. With Penta versus Dominic for the title set for next week's Raw in Perth, expect Rusev to stir things up again. Why Santos Escobar turned down WWE's offer. Santos Escobar's days in WWE have hit a turning point, and now the true story behind his choice to leave has come out. His contract ends at midnight tonight, letting him become a free agent and wrestle wherever he wants. But it wasn't about cash that pushed him to this spot. It was how WWE saw him fitting in. Sources from PW Insider say that in recent weeks, Escobar was honest about his worries on signing a new deal. He wasn't after a bigger paycheck or even a sure push. Instead, Escobar wanted to know WWE had a solid plan for how he would show up in the ring going forward. Without that, he worried about tying himself down just to go in circles and not get real ring time. Escobar's path has already crossed big promotions. Before WWE, he made his name as El Hijo del Fantasma in Mexico, grabbing titles in CMLL and AAA. He later got US eyes on him as King Cuerno in Lucha Underground, before joining WWE in 2019. In his WWE time, he dropped the mask, started Legado del Fantasma, and held the NXT Cruiserweight Championship for more than 300 days before shifting to the main roster. His last TV match came in June at AAA x WWE Worlds Collide, where he teamed with Angel and Berto to beat El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., Pagano, and Psycho Clown. His last match on WWE SmackDown was a May 2nd loss to Rey Fenix. Now, with his contract done, Escobar's next step lies wide open. Whether he heads back to Mexico, joins AEW, or chases something else, the Lucha vet has made it plain he wants his next chapter to focus on direction and purpose, not just money. Do you think Santos Escobar made the right call by walking away from WWE? Please share your thoughts in the comments. The Rock takes a huge pay cut for the Smashing Machine to support co-stars. The Rock stunned Hollywood by taking a huge pay cut for his heartfelt project, The Smashing Machine. Known for pulling in over $20 million per movie as one of the biggest stars around, he took just $4 million this time, says Deadline. The report also shared that Johnson gave part of his smaller paycheck to co-star Emily Blunt and Mark Kerr, the real MMA legend whose life the film covers. It's a big shift from his usual blockbuster paydays, but Johnson said the experience of making the movie meant more than the money. On Instagram, after the film's weak $6 million opening weekend, the lowest for any Rock-led movie, he opened up about the project. From deep in my grateful bones, thank you to everyone who has watched The Smashing Machine. He talked about what he could control during the film, even with the box office letdown. In our storytelling world, you can't control box office results, but what I realized you can control is your performance and your commitment to completely disappear and go elsewhere. And I will always run to that opportunity. Truth is, this film has changed my life. The Smashing Machine hit theaters on October 3rd with a $50 million budget, but got outshined by two bigger releases, including Taylor Swift's concert film and One Battle After Another. It's Johnson's smallest theater opening yet, but critics loved his work, and the movie scored a certified fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. By taking a big pay cut and sharing his salary, Johnson showed The Smashing Machine wasn't about cash. It was about telling Mark Kerr's story and pushing himself as an actor. John Cena's final opponent leaked. WWE's ideas for John Cena's final fight have leaked out. The star will wrap his career at Saturday night's main event on December 13th at the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. Dave Meltzer from The Wrestling Observer says WWE plans to have John Cena take on Gunther in his last match this year. Meltzer added that Triple H might announce a tournament to pick Cena's final rival, but the ring general is already set for the spot. Two sources have confirmed that the latest plan is for a tournament to be announced, possibly on the air by Paul Levesque, with top wrestlers vying to be Cena's last opponent. But multiple have confirmed, however, it reaches the conclusion that Gunther was the person chosen for the match. John Cena is set to face AJ Styles at WWE Crown Jewel 2025 this Saturday in Perth, Australia. Inside sources think Brock Lesnar should be John Cena's last rival in the company. The Beast Incarnate came back after 2 years away to crush Cena at WrestlePalooza 2025. On Sportskeeda Wrestling's writing with inside sources, the legend said the 48-year-old needs to get payback against Lesnar in his final fight. Inside sources also hinted that the company might be getting back at the Cenation leader for going to Vince McMahon's birthday party. They've got to let that last match be one last crack against Brock Lesnar. They have to. If they don't, I'll never understand why they did what they did. Unless it's pettiness and them trying to punish Cena for going to Vince's birthday party, who knows? But if that last match is not Lesnar and he doesn't go over, I don't even know what to say, inside sources said. Cena turned heel earlier this year and teamed with The Rock. He beat Cody Rhodes in the main event of WrestleMania 41 to take the new undisputed WWE Championship. The vet then flipped back to good guy before SummerSlam and lost the title back to the American Nightmare at the Premium Live event in August. Great news for Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar stormed back to WWE at SummerSlam 2025. This came after John Cena dropped his title. A wild fight broke out between them at Last Real Champion. The two ruthless aggression stars clashed hard at WrestlePalooza. There, the Beast Incarnate crushed the Cenation leader in a total beatdown. Since that win over John Cena last month, the Beast Incarnate has stayed off TV again. Fans keep waiting for his next move. Reports say the former champ will show up more often soon. But before he hits the ring, great news has come out for Brock Lesnar. 2K Games just announced the WWE 2K25 Farewell Edition DLC. It packs in 2 John Cena looks, R-Truth as Ron Cena, and, in a big surprise, Brock Lesnar's fresh model. This marks the first time Lesnar has come back to 2K Games since 2023. The Beast Incarnate got cut from WWE 2K24 and 2K25. But starting October 16th, when the DLC drops, fans can play as Lesnar. His new model brings updated hair, gear, and build. Since his comeback, the Beast Incarnate has shared scenes with his old hype man. That man is now the Vision's Oracle. The famous pair seems to click well again. This could lead to the Beast Incarnate joining the Vision group. It might happen at Paul Heyman's Ask for the Big War Games match at Survivor Series 2025. That event hits November 29th in San Diego. With so much promise, it'll be a thrill to watch what the Triple H creative team cooks up for the Beast Incarnate. Will he team with Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins' crew for War Games? Time will show. WWE removes Dean Ambrose from history. Jon Moxley, once known as Dean Ambrose, has left a deep mark on WWE history. But in a shocking twist, the company wiped out a huge part of his time in the Stamford-based promotion during Raw tonight. WWE is gearing up for its 7th Crown Jewel Premium Live event on October 11th in Australia. Triple H has stacked the card with matches worthy of WrestleMania. One of the biggest draws is the Crown Jewel Championship clash between Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, set to top the show at the RAC Arena in Perth, Australia. The creative team has done a solid job digging into the past between these two, going back to when the American Nightmare returned to WWE. They've spun their rocky history into 2 video packages to pump up the hype for their big showdown. The second vignette, called Alleys, aired on the Go Home Raw before Crown Jewel, and it kicked up a storm online. In the video, Seth Rollins talked about learning a tough lesson over the years. You can't do it alone. He pointed to Roman Reigns leaning on his crews as proof. The Visionary brought up the Shield, but what caught everyone off guard was Dean Ambrose's absence from the vignette. WWE smartly used old clips of just Rollins and Reigns from the Shield days, cutting Ambrose out completely. Jon Moxley's exclusion felt like WWE erased him from the Shield's story. This isn't the first time WWE has ignored him or other AEW stars, as the company often avoids mentioning wrestlers from rival groups. On the Not Some Wrestling podcast, Sam Roberts said Dean Ambrose might be the only wrestler left who could make a full-time WWE comeback and shake things up. I think, though, the name that hits me the hardest and the name that would be like, okay, what is a return of a superstar that could come back, have that sort of dual wave of nostalgia, and also fans who want to see what this is all about. It can have that come together like it did for Punk and AJ Lee and everybody, and have enough left that they can have a full run. Not a last year, but a run. And to me, maybe the last person, maybe on that level that would be a game changer, would be Mox. If Dean Ambrose came back to the WWE, if Ambrose came back, it would be earth-shattering, he said. Moxley is locked in with All Elite Wrestling until at least 2027. He's slated to take on Darby Allin in an I Quit match at WrestleDream on October 18th. Paul Heyman called out for lying. Roman Reigns got called out hard after Raw. Braun Strowman fired off a shot at the OTC over a whopper Paul Heyman dropped. Strowman wouldn't let the fib slide that Heyman fed to Roman and the crowd to open the show. He made it clear that Reigns had never taken a beating bad enough to need a stretcher and leave on his own until Bronson Reed stepped in. Strowman shared photos of times he had put Reigns on a stretcher and called Heyman the Batman bad guy Penguin, or Oswald Cobblepot. He threw in more pics of when he had carted Reigns off. Yay, okay, Oswald Cobblepot! Paul Heyman said Roman Reigns should fear Bronson Reed. He went on to say that, besides Reed, no one had ever laid into Reigns so hard that he needed a stretcher, that he couldn't walk out on his own, not once. He ran through all the challenges and scraps in Reigns' life and how Reed stood out as the biggest danger. Well, you should. Not once in your, forget about your career. Not once in your entire life have you suffered a beating to such a degree that you needed a stretcher, that you could not leave on your own volition. Not once. All those football games at Georgia Tech, not once did you leave on a stretcher. All those Anoa'i family barbecues, that doubles with drunken Samoans having a battle royal in the backyard, not once did you leave on a stretcher. And in your entire career, let alone even before you were the tribal chief with me at the height of your greatness, not once in your career did a man lay a beating on you at such a degree that you were placed on a stretcher, carried out of the arena, placed in an ambulance, and taken all the way to the hospital. We'll have to wait to see how it plays out at Crown Jewel when Reed and Reigns square off. Roman Reigns sends a chilling message to Jimmy Uso. Roman Reigns had another run-in with Jimmy Uso on Raw, doubling down after their earlier clash. He sent a sharp, chilling message to his cousin after a heated backstage face-off. Earlier on Raw, Reigns and the Usos had their first tense moment. Reigns nudged Jey to go after CM Punk and called out Jimmy for not liking what he told his brother last week. Reigns made it clear to Jey that Raw was his turf and pushed a tougher, tribal chief-style approach as the way to roll. Jimmy wasn't having it. After a segment where Jimmy Uso superkicked CM Punk to stop his brother, another showdown with Reigns and the Usos went down. Jey stormed off after asking Jimmy whose side he was really on. Talking to Reigns, Jimmy said he saw through the OTC's game and that neither he nor Jey was anything like him. Reigns hit back, saying when Jey Uso won the World Championship at WrestleMania 41, he became more like Reigns than Jimmy. In a jaw-dropping moment, he told Jimmy the best way to help his brother was to stay out of his way. The heat keeps building between the cousins on Raw. Jimmy keeps telling Jey he doesn't need to act like the OTC to win big. Jey's starting to look like the right-hand man again, and at one point, he was tapped as the tribal successor. After 2023, Solo Sikoa snatched that role early. Now things are up in the air with the Anoa'i family. Roman Reigns is now Jey Uso's Wiseman. WWE has locked in Roman Reigns' match for Crown Jewel 2025. The original Tribal Chief will face Bronson Reed in a brutal Australian street fight. Beyond that, the head of the table stirred things up with big moments alongside the Usos. He called out Jimmy Uso for going behind his back and pushing Jey not to follow his advice. Plus, WWE dropped heavy clues pointing to Roman stepping into a new role as the Yeet Masters Wiseman on Monday Night Raw. Let's break down 3 signs showing this shift. Before, Roman Reigns never wanted Jey Uso or any Bloodline member chasing the world title or outshining him, but now, his tunes changed for the Yeet Master. Instead of holding him back, Reigns urged Jey to go for another world championship run. He turned down Jey's offer to help in his feud with Bronson Reed and told him to aim for the top prize. This flip in the OTC's attitude is a big sign he's acting more like a guiding Wiseman for Jey than the controlling Tribal Chief. Later on Raw, Roman Reigns pulled Jimmy Uso aside backstage over his shady comments. The OTC made it clear he heard everything, how Big Jim didn't want Jey taking his advice. Instead of letting it slide, Reigns told Jimmy to step back and stay out of Jey's way. This move shows Reigns truly wants Jey to lean into a darker, more cutthroat side to gain an edge. It's a subtle nod that Roman's playing the Wiseman role for the 40-year-old star, keeping Jimmy from meddling in his plans. On Monday Night Raw, Roman Reigns stepped up himself to steer the Yeet Master. He's pointing Jey toward success, pouring effort into his path like never before. In the past, the OTC kept things selfish, focusing on his own spotlight. But this new approach, putting all this work into Jey, feels different. It's a strong hint that Roman Reigns is stepping into a mentor role for the Yeet Master, guiding him to the top.